Tonight at 6:30, a flood watch is in effect for all of Western New York. Storm Team 2 meteorologist Dan Russell is here with what you need to know. Plus, the Bills are making a big splash this offseason, and now we're hearing from the team's president of operations. 2 on Your Side is at the NFL owners meeting in Phoenix. And as global supply chains shift, a new investment at UB could keep Western New York competitive. What it means for you.
Live from 2 on Your Side. This is Channel 2 News at 6:30.
And Storm Team 2 is issuing a weather impact alert for tomorrow as a flood watch is now in effect for our area. Heavy rains and thunderstorms are expected. Some areas could see damaging winds and even hail. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Mary Alice Demler. Scott has the night off. We want to get right over to Storm Team 2 meteorologist Dan Russell with your Monday night forecast. Dan, looks like it's going to get a little busy.
Oh yeah, Mary Alice, it's going to get a little loud as well here, especially later tonight. In fact, we're already seeing some of these showers kind of blossom, and that's going to be the trend, especially as we get further into the overnight. Here's the latest live radar. We're still dry in around Buffalo, but we are seeing some stray showers across parts of the southern tier. And as we kind of expand out, you can really see how this activity has really just begun to develop here over the last couple of hours. We have some more shower storms there just north of Detroit. And again, that's the energy. Those are the showers that will continue to pick up in coverage and intensity here as we head into the overnight. What's helping to fuel some of this activity is the unseasonably warm conditions. We did hit 60 degrees at the airport. Now we've cooled off a little bit, and that's just thanks to some air, some wind, a little bit of a breeze coming in off of Lake Erie, so down to 52 at the airport. But you get away from any cooling influence of Lake Erie, and we're still solidly in the 60s across most of Western New York. Unseasonably warm to say the least, and tomorrow's going to be even warmer. The trade-off is we're also going to be tracking again rounds of heavy rain and storms. So again, take a look at your weather headlines later tonight, especially around and after midnight. The rain, the thunder will be picking up. So Mother Nature's natural alarm clock will likely be going off. So don't be surprised if you get awoken. If you have any pets that maybe don't like that thunder or lightning, certainly be mindful of that. And then throughout the day tomorrow, it's not a washout where it's raining from sun up to sundown, but we're going to have waves of heavy rain and storms, especially early and then again towards late afternoon and evening. Because of that, a weather impact alert. We're going to have some more showers later in the week. At that point, though, I don't think anything terribly heavy. We'll have more dry time in the mix, and the warmth, it's not going anywhere anytime soon. So, of course, a lot to track. We will do this hour by hour with the extended forecast coming up in about 15 minutes. Mary Alice?
NFL is holding their annual owners meeting out in Phoenix this week. There will be all sorts of discussion about potential changes for the entire league. Sports director John Scott was getting more Bills-specific thoughts from Brandon Beane this morning.
We're really past the big wave of moves this offseason around the NFL. The Bills' biggest, acquiring DJ Moore from the Chicago Bears. We've talked so much about this team's absolute need to add a wide receiver and one that can make a big impact. Moore is someone who has 4 seasons in the league, over 1,000 yards receiving. Here's Brandon Beane this morning on trading for Moore.
You're always looking for weapons, tight end, receiver, running back, like how many different pieces can we give Joe Brady, Pete Carmichael, and Josh to, obviously you're trying to score points. And so he's a player that we tracked all the way back to the year Josh was drafted, and he adds, again, another dimension, another guy that's a run after catch, a big play potential guy.
We touched on a lot of things with Beane this morning, including whether or not he's done adding to the wide receiver position, whether that be through free agency or even the NFL draft. Also an update on Josh Allen's foot and whether or not the Bills quarterback will be ready when workouts begin next month. We will have all that for you coming up later on this evening. For now, from the NFL owners meetings in Phoenix, John Scott, Channel 2 Sports.
Tonight, Assemblymember Jonathan Rivera is renewing his call for action, pushing a bill that would limit cooperation between local law enforcement and ICE. It comes following the death of Nurul Shah Alam, a visually impaired refugee who was dropped off by federal agents at a Buffalo Tim Hortons last month and was found dead days later. 2 on Your Side's Natalie Foz is outside the Erie County Holding Center with the latest.
Assembly member Jonathan Rivera, as well as local immigration and disability advocates, gathered today outside the Erie County Holding Center to gain support for the New York for All bill. Rivera says that the bill will stop local law enforcement from voluntarily collaborating with ICE, and he used the most recent example of the death of Nurul Amin Shah Alam, calling for justice for him as he was transported from the Erie County Holding Center by ICE. They're also calling out the Erie County Sheriff for not being transparent with processes related to the release and eventual death of Nurul Amin Shah Alam.
We've had a tough time these last few weeks in the community about this death, but we're very more concerned about it happening again. And the sheriff's lack of interest or indifference towards being transparent about his process is very concerning.
He's calling on the county legislature to hold a hearing with the sheriff on this case to answer all the questions surrounding Shah Alam and his case, and he's opened a petition to gather support from the community. Rivera says he's making that call right now, trying to gain support from the community so that a death like this does not happen again. On your side at the Erie County Holding Center, Natalie Foss, Channel 2 News.
The Erie County Sheriff's Office has released a statement in response to today's news conference, saying in part, quote, "We do not treat detainers any differently than the New York State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision." They go on to say, quote, "In February, our office shared the sequence of events that led to Mr. Shah Alam's release to United States Border Patrol. As noted, we informed Border Patrol of his impending release pursuant to the detainer. We did not extend his period of local incarceration or delay his release," end quote. $1 million in federal funding is heading to UB's Center of Excellence for Cross-Border Supply Chains. 2 on Your Side's Chelsea Swift has more tonight on this effort to support businesses and strengthen the local economy.
Many of my members, their business, their exports to Canada are down between 10 to 20, 30%. And it's making a significant negative financial impact to their businesses.
According to Congressman Kennedy, $1 million in federal funding will help local businesses navigate cross-border logistics. Faculty from University at Buffalo's Center of Excellence for Cross-Border Supply Chains will work with regional firms to analyze supply networks and assess costs associated with labor, energy, and tariffs.
It's going to be a regional asset for our community, and it's going to help these businesses to grow and to utilize the University of Buffalo, this higher education school of excellence right in the heart of our community, to enhance their growth as companies and to grow jobs and opportunities for the people of Western New York.
The congressman mentioned a specific focus on small and medium-sized businesses and providing access to data and analysis that large companies have. That's what public universities such as ours do.
The executive director of the Buffalo Niagara Manufacturing Alliance says he believes this is a step in the right direction for the local economy.
You can get this conversation going and get people determined to work on ways to integrate our Western New York community manufacturers into the supply chain while leveraging our friends to the north or west in this case. It's worth it.
On Your Side in Buffalo, Chelsea Swift, Channel 2 News.
Lawyers for Simon Gogolak are challenging the means the FBI used to get a statement from their client who's accused of killing a witness against Faro strip club owner Peter Gerace. Our Dave McKinley attended an evidentiary hearing today in advance of the trial involving several men that's due to start this summer.
Crystal Quinn was a former Pharaoh's dancer whom Gerace has described to us as a dear friend who was also mentally fragile. After Gerace was arrested, Quinn ended up being charged with threatening another former dancer prepared to testify against Gerace. To resolve her charges and spare herself a potential 15-year prison sentence, she also agreed to give testimony against Gerace, who has insisted the feds preyed on Quinn's vulnerabilities and coerced her into testifying. But in the summer of 2023, Quinn turned up dead set in the Wellsville apartment of her longtime friend Simon Gogolak. When that happened, her FBI handler, Special Agent Jason Camerad, worked with another agent, Brian Burns, to develop intel on Gogolak. They quickly learned that Quinn had used her mother's car to drive to Wellsville and that Gogolak was planning to drive it back to the mom's home in Depew. They also learned Gogolak had a suspended license. Now, the FBI does not enforce state traffic law, but the Depew police do, and the FBI contacted them and arranged for them to pull over Gogolak when he arrived near the Quinn home in a neighborhood off Transit Road. This gave the feds enough time to get a search warrant for Gogolak's phone, and the Depew police even provided an interview room for the FBI to interrogate Gogolak, who was later charged along with Gerace and 4 other men with conspiring to administer a fatal overdose to Quinn to keep her off the stand and then trying to make it look accidental. Even without Quinn's testimony, Gerace was convicted of drug and sex trafficking and is now due to be sentenced on April 9th. On your side, Dave McKinley, Channel 2 News.
Next on Channel 2 News at 6:30, a bill in Albany aims to bring new life to some of the state's largest vacant buildings. We have the details coming up.
I'm Kelly Dudzik in Springville, where firefighters got a unique call over the weekend involving a very large tortoiseshell cat and a basement. I'll have that story coming up.
Coming up on Channel 2 News tonight, one of Western New York's own returns to the stage for the knockout round of this season of the NBC show The Voice, with a spot in the semifinals on the line. See more tonight at 11. Well, the Springville Volunteer Fire Department responded to a unique call this weekend when a woman told them that a cat was trapped in her basement walls. 2 on your side's Kelly Dudzik went to Springville this afternoon to talk with firefighters about how they were able to solve this cat caper.
Firefighters here have dealt with animal rescue calls before. They rescued a cat about 30 years ago and most recently a horse, but this time it was another cat.
Call came in as an animal in the wall. I've been in there for 2 days and was wondering if there's anything we could do to help get them out of there.
This is Freya, a 5-year-old tortie with a knack for getting into things.
We did try a thermal imaging camera,
Correct.
And it would not pick up the small amount of body heat from the small cat. So we found out where it was, isolated a small area of drywall to be cut so we wouldn't ruin the person's whole walls, and it worked. Once we got that out of there, another one of our firemen got in there and grabbed the cat out.
Jessica took these pictures Sunday as the firefighter pulled Freya out of the wall. Freya was a house guest because Jessica's mom asked her to cat sit for a few days. Jessica's other cats have never gotten into the basement walls, but she shared some of Freya's backstory with me this afternoon, and it includes being rescued from a wall when she was a kitten.
A lot of things go through your mind when you're, cutting into the wall. You obviously got to be careful you don't hit the cat.
The house has been remodeled numerous times over the years. We didn't know. My concern was if we were going to hit more plumbing. We saw some plumbing there. There was electrical wires there, so we really had to watch ourselves. You don't know what's behind some of these houses. House was built in the 1800s.
It all worked out, and today Freya is back at home, relaxing like nothing happened. And it's a call these firefighters will never forget.
Prices of earth, they burn it around?
They do need more volunteers, so if you're interested, you can go to the Springville Fire Company's website or Facebook page. On your side in Springville, Kelly Dudzik, Channel 2 News.
We love that kind of happy ending. Thank you, Kelly. Well, a bill at the state capitol could bring new life to some of the state's largest vacant buildings. As 2 on your side's Courtney Courtwright reports, supporters say it's a step that needs to be taken to help bring these buildings back to life.
Too often, buildings like the one that we're standing in today sit vacant because the cost of bringing them back to life is just too high.
State Senator April Baskin is sponsoring a bill aimed at reviving some of the state's largest empty historic buildings.
Because we're sick of them being an eyesore in our community. They are rich in history. They are rich to family memories.
The bill looks at so-called white elephant buildings, historic structures that have been vacant for at least 10 of the past 15 years and require more than $50 million to fix. If passed, the proposal would increase the maximum state tax credit from $5 million to $15 million for qualifying projects.
Very practical solution to get a large amount of buildings that really should be up to the highest and best use and contribute to our city.
Legislation will allow us to transform the disused into new centers of vitality, creating jobs, generating tax revenue, and improving the quality of life for the neighborhood.
The State Historic Preservation Office identifies 35 buildings that could qualify, including Buffalo Central Terminal.
3,000 people you can fit in here. But that's just a start. We also can be a place for offices, apartments, a way to connect to our neighbors.
The executive director of the Central Terminal Restoration Corporation says the bill is essential for redevelopment here, which could cost around $300 million.
So we have multiple buildings here, so 15 million of 50 piece is significant.
The bill is currently in committee in the state Senate. On your side in Buffalo, Courtney Courtwright, Channel 2 News.
Courtney, thank you. Well, the Final Four of the men's college basketball tournament is now set. UConn will face Illinois, and the Michigan Wolverines will take on the Arizona Wildcats. That is sure to be a classic. It also means Niagara Falls native Roddy Gale Jr. continues his amazing tournament run as Michigan's shooting guard. The Final Four games will happen in Indianapolis on Saturday. The championship game is scheduled to tip off next Monday.